Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 Xbox 360 review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Dead Rising 2, which if you've never played it before, the first one or Case Zero or anything, it's an action game. The whole point is run around, kill some zombies, find out the story, which the story in this one's thankfully a hell of a lot better than I thought it would be, because Case Zero worried me, but quite frankly Case Zero is about as much of a prequel as Episode 1 is to the other episodes of Star Wars. Pretty much contradicts everything, and I honestly don't understand how it's a prequel at all, other than explaining that your daughter was bit. So anyway, I'll get into that in a little bit, because obviously I'm just sitting on the menu here. So I'll quickly mention, you can start the game, you can join the co-op, obviously. Terror is Reality is the online multiplayer. I'll mention why it's horrid in a moment. It could be great if they fix it, but at the moment it's so badly broken. Again, mention why in a minute. Leaderboards, downloadable content, options. You can import your data from Case Zero to start at level 5. You can view the controls, change some gameplay elements like subtitles and that, and what ringtone you want for the transceiver. So anyway, let's just cut into the game. As with pretty much all of my reviews, I've went to the very start of the game for the bare bones minimum, just so that I don't spoil any of the story, because as I say, the story is quite good. It's something that, again, as I say, worried me with with Case Zero, and I just didn't expect it to be rather good, but instead it revolves around the whole Chuck proving his innocence, and it works really well. The second game is pretty much the first game, only much improved and like so much better. The loading screens are still just as long and just as bad as the first game, and as stupid as it sounds, I've shown this one off purely because someone asked me to, so there you go. I hope you're happy. So anyway, the whole point is, you, as I say, run around, kill the zombies, and the second game does that so much better. The playing area is bigger. It still pretty much feels like the mall of the first game though, because everything's connected. So it's one of those, it really does feel like you're playing the first game, and it's one of those that actually works well, because if you play the first game, it means you can jump straight into the second one and not have to worry about anything. You'll be able to just, well, go around hacking the hell out of zombies. Obviously though, the main part of this one is that you can build your own weapons now, and there are a shitload of combinations. Quite frankly, there are some of the most stupid, insane things you can ever think of. And again, as to not spoil anything, I'm just going to mention the ones that the instruction manual mentions pretty much, because for example, you can get, and this is probably the stupidest one, but it's quite good, you can get a machete and a helicopter, toy helicopter, combine them together and fly it around to kill the zombies. It's pretty cool. So anyway, there's also things like, obviously I've got the spiked bat here, which I still think is probably my favourite weapon. It may not be the funniest or anything like that, but boy does it help clear out a room of zombies. It's the type of thing that I will use this more than any other weapon on the game. And it's just one of those, this is where the replayability comes into it, because the story mode's pretty much the same as the first one. You get 72 hours and you have to just, well, clear your name and just do the missions and that, and save people along the way and that. But the replayability, whereas the first one had it just getting the different endings and that, this one has the replayability with the co-op, because I will show a bit of the co-op off, and obviously, as I say, the whole point is you go around in co-op and just fuck around, basically. It's quite a nice thing, really. You can just brainstorm and think, well, I've got, again, I'll just mention something from the instruction manual here. I've got a wheelchair. Well, that's good. I've got some guns over here. Let's combine them. Let's see if we can do. And yes, as I say, it's from the manual, so you can do, and you can get a rather cool wheelchair of death type thing going on. So it's one of those, that's where the replayability comes in. Oh, it's just fucking around with your mates, building weapons, killing zombies, which, yeah, some people will get bored with it, but at the same time, as you're discovering the new weapons, I don't find myself getting bored. If I was just constantly running around and killing things, then I'd get bored after 5 seconds, like, well, not 5 seconds, after 5 minutes, like I pretty much do it on any game like this, or GE or anything like that. But the fact that you're playing with a mate and you're also building new weapons and inventing stuff and that, it just plays really well and works really well. But then, as I say, you've got the actual online versus multiplayer, so I'll just mention a little bit about that. So, right then, there are 9 different modes, and the modes are quite fun. The problem with where the online is awful at the moment is they just don't seem to have the servers. The lag is so bad it's unbelievable. You put the game on and you pretty much can't play it. I was on a game earlier on of one of the game modes called Ramster Ball, where the whole point is you're in a ball and it's kind of like Gladiators or American Gladiators or anything like that. You have to, well, only a little bit different, because as well as bumping into coloured pillars really to get points, you also have to run over zombies, and it's a fun mode. However, the lag was so bad I literally couldn't move. I actually got to start the game off for some reason. I don't know why. Maybe it was the first time I'd played Ramster Ball and it just let me do it, but it said red, start things off. I was the red character and I couldn't move. For 10 seconds, I just literally couldn't move. Everyone else was looking and was talking over online saying, why the hell aren't you moving, and things like that, and I physically couldn't. I was pushing every button under the sun and not a single thing would work. The lag has really made the online impossible to play. So I'm praying they get it fixed, because when they do, I have a feeling it'll be an incredibly fun thing. Because there's 9 different modes, as I see here. There's things like Ball Buster, Bounty Hunter, Headache, Master Shafter, Pounds of Flesh, Ramster Balls, Slicicles, Stand-Up Zombie, and Zamboni mode. I'll mention a couple of them. I'm obviously not going to spend ages mentioning all 9, because I'm finding it hard enough running around killing zombies and talking, let alone whilst going through all the modes. But Zomboni is pretty cool. You get in a Zomboni death tank type thing, and you have to just basically collect as much blood as you can to put it in a container. I've obviously mentioned the Ramster Ball. Headache, you have to basically put some blenders on the zombies' heads, and it's just daft things like that, really. So, pretty much all I've got left to mention before I quickly show off the co-op is the Dead Rising Case Zero thing. As I say, it's not really a prequel, because in Case Zero, and I apologise, this is going to spoil it for you if you haven't already played through it, but in all honesty, you might actually want to hear this, because it might save you 400 points. I enjoyed Case Zero, and I was quite happy with it. However, I was worried about the story. And obviously, at that point, I'd not played Dead Rising 2, so I didn't know how Dead Rising 2 was going to turn out. Pretty much all you get from the story, as I've probably already mentioned, is the fact that your daughter was turned into a zombie, and, well, not turned into a zombie, was bit and now needs this Zombrex, and you had to give it to her every 12 hours. In the main game, you have to give it to her every 24 hours, because it's a more potent, well, strain of Zombrex, and that's pretty much all that Case Zero has to do with this. Case Zero actually ends, if you get the good ending, with driving off into the sunset, heading for the town of Nevada, and basically, well, that's pretty much it. The second game doesn't start with you still on that road driving and getting up there. The second game starts with you in a Terror Is Reality game show, where you have to drive around on a motorbike with chainsaws strapped to it and kill as many zombies as you can. And you've got all that gap in between. How did that happen? Where did the game show come from? Things like that it just doesn't mention at the start of the game, and it really did annoy me, because I all of a sudden felt like I'd wasted 400 points on Case Zero. The only good thing about it is obviously I started at level 5. So, pretty much all I've got left to say is to finish off really with Case Zero, and how I think that the sole point of it coming out was just to basically say, hey, look at this, we've got a new game coming out, this is what we've changed. So it basically introduced you to the money system, which does indeed carry over to the main game, and you do use money to buy things from the pawn shop, and basically it was to almost as if show you how the well, the NPCs, I suppose, probably the best way to put it, the people you have to rescue are no longer completely stupid. They will actually try and save themselves, they will fight the zombies off, and it just works a whole lot better like that. The co-op, which obviously, as you can see I'm showing now, does have a downside to it, and it's why I've mentioned that it's not really there for story mode, because whoever player 2 is doesn't get story progression. So it's one of those, you really need to beat the game the first time alone before you go into the co-op, because otherwise you never know, you might join someone who's right at the end of the game, and then you might get it spoiled for you or anything like that. But overall, if you liked the first game and you were thinking about the second one, well, get it. Because if you like the first one, I really don't think you'll be disappointed with the second one. They've done an absolutely fantastic job with it, fixed a load of problems the first one had. The loading's still a little annoying, even with an install, but other than, well, it's pretty much as perfect as a sequel as I wanted. So there we go then, that's been the review. I hope you've enjoyed it, or at least found it helpful. You might have noticed I didn't score the game. Well, that's because it's a matter of personal opinion, and yours may very well differ from my own. I'm just here to show you a bit about the game. If you like it or not, well, that's up to you. If you don't like it, or you do like it, feel free to comment. Also, If I haven't answered any of your questions that you may have had, I might have forgot something, or it might just be something obscure. Again, feel free to comment, ask, always willing to help out. Otherwise, if you don't like commenting on YouTube, head over to www.vc-forums.com, where you can chat with me and a bunch of other lads who love the VC, the WiiWare, and hell, even a lot of other systems. We cater to pretty much everything. You can just go there, have a chat about a game, ask about some games, etc. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.